Okay, thanks, Charlotte, for sharing that process with us. And what struck me as you were going through that, Charlotte, was that, you know, when I worked, I was a centre manager a few years ago, and it's the same process, isn't it, as you would undertake as a centre. So all of those processes in terms of marking, giving the feedback, IQAing, recording the results, are all part of what a centre would do if they were marking it themselves. However, that doesn't absolve you. If you use the assessment services, it doesn't absolve you of some responsibilities and requirements. So I thought it would just be worth sharing those with you. So there's still a need to have an IQA role, because we know that part of that is, yes, to do that check and balance to make sure that all of your assessors are standardised in their approach, so that irrespective of who's marking the qualification or the unit, by and large the learner would get the same results. There's still the requirement to make sure that the programme is designed and is delivered in line with the qualification, and that you've got the right people in place to deliver those with the right level of knowledge, skills and expertise around that. We call it occupational competence. You also, there's still a requirement to act as an independent contact for complaints. So obviously, you are the person that the learner would liaise with if they were unhappy about a result, and obviously to monitor the CPD of the tutors that are within the team. So monitor, review and evaluate delivery to ensure quality of delivery and continuous improvement. So I would call that standardisation, just to make sure that you've got that consistency of approach. And having managed quite a large team of tutors in the past, it's like herding cats. So that was always my most challenging of areas to monitor, but that is still sitting with the centre, and specifically the IQA responsibility. So the tutor obviously is responsible for providing, that rich learning to enable the learner to understand the topic, and understand and have learnt the learning outcomes, but then be able to interpret those into the assessment criteria. So obviously that's an understood role. However, where we've found in the past some of the gaps occur is around preparing the learner for the assessment. It is so important to have that piece at the end of a unit where you are making sure that the learner understands the assessment requirement, they understand the verbs, what those verbs mean. So, okay, it might be fairly well understood about what list, describe and explain means. However, they get a bit more technical when it's critically assess, evaluate. But sometimes we do have things, even at level 2, where the question hasn't been answered. So the one that comes to mind, and I'm paraphrasing here, is where it will ask in the assessment criteria to set a SMART objective. And we've had units that have come in that just describe what SMART is. Now, that's not answered the question. And it doesn't matter how marvellous their description of a SMART objective is. The verb that's set there is set a SMART objective. So again, that's where the tutor needs to provide that absolute clarity on what the question means and what is being looked for in the response. Obviously, and that obviously helps people to pass first time. So from you as a centre, we charge you for resubmissions, so it's more cost effective if they can pass first time, and it saves you time in the long run, because obviously we don't provide the feedback. If someone has, well, passed or been referred, if they've been referred, there is extensive feedback on the mark sheets, but it is down to the tutor to then take that back to the learner. We don't have that interaction directly with the learner. So whilst the marking service does obviously take away that marking burden, if you like, the responsibility for preparing the learners and maintaining that quality of delivery still absolutely sits with the centre. I'm just going to look and show you where we have some guidance on the website. And all of these are links, you'll be pleased to know, so you don't have to ferret around our lovely website to try and find things. So under ILM Guides and Resources, and on our website, it's always in that top right-hand corner, the Guides and Resources. So it's quite a useful, quick link to go back to this part of the website. But you can get the technical specifications for each unit, what we call cue cards, which are really sort of summary cards that show you what the rules of combination are for that qualification, what units are available, just the headlines of the units, the credit values, so that you know how many units you need to have in place to achieve either an award, a certificate or diploma. And then obviously, along with the unit specs, you've got the assignments and the mark sheets. And at some of our qualifications, some of our units, we have structured answer questions. So rather than an essay or a full assignment, they still cover all of the assessment criteria, but just in a sort of question and answer type approach. So that's where you can find that information. I'm sure you're quite familiar with it, but you see on the right-hand side where it says enter a 4-digit qualification code or the full unit title. If you put it in, if you were to just put in 8600, and I don't know why I always remember that number, that's the level 3 in leadership and management. And then the next box gives you a drop down. So if you were to then put in the unit specifications, it would list all of the unit specifications for 8600. If you know your unit number, so if you know, so if you put in 8600-300, it will give you just that unit, or you can type in the title. It will take it either way. So these are all links as well. So this is specific support for assessments and the ILM Assessment Service. So the ILM Assessment Guidance. So the Guide to Assessing VRQs, quite a really useful document to refer to, particularly around standardisation for anyone new coming into the team. Those lovely assessment verbs. What we've done is we've really expanded on this document in recent times. So we've provided a sort of a description of what we mean by that particular assessment verb, and then we've provided an example of what that would look like in terms of the assessment. So a really useful document for you as tutors and assessors, but also to share with your learners as well to help them. So any other documents that are available for the service. So the policies and guidance, links to the portal and the customer guide, all readily available there on the website.